Welcome to the Bookish Bubble, the podcast where we burst the bubble on all things bookish, from influencer content and new releases to controversial topics and trends.
I'm your host Jessica from jessicareads.books.
And I'm your host Phoebe from Get This Girl a Book.
And today we're going to be discussing, have special editions gone too far? They might have done.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
So before we jump into all things special editions and all the questions we need to ask today, let's have a little bit of a check-in on what we're reading. So Jess, what are we reading?
Okay, so currently I'm listening to an audiobook, Outrage by Ellen Jones, and it's why the fight for LGBTQ plus equality is not yet won and what you can do about it. And you guys, it is so good. I am about 60% of the way in at the moment, and it is narrated by the author, which is my favorite type of audiobook. I feel like they have so much passion in their voice when they narrate it themselves, and obviously they really understand all the meaning and everything behind either the story or, non-fiction in this case.
Yeah.
And I'm learning so much. It's so informative. It's incredibly well written. It feels like a book that everyone should read because there are so many facts in it as well that have shocked me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I did not realize, that there is not full marriage equality, for example.
Been with something as well.
Okay. And it's so eye-opening because obviously I know, unfortunately, that the LGBTQ plus community do face a lot of discrimination at times, but the level and, some of the things they have to go through, it is heartbreaking, but something that everyone should be aware of.
Yeah, definitely. And that was something when I was living in Zambia, I didn't realize until I was there, and then experiencing that and the fact that people cannot be openly out and proud of their own identity when it's 2025. That was something I found really, really hard and difficult to navigate. So yeah, it's definitely something that I don't think enough people are well researched, but also are involved in, actively involved.
And I like to think of myself as quite a well-informed ally, but this just showed there's so much more that I can learn and should learn that I think everyone should. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. So good. Highly recommend the audiobook. Ellen, the author, does an incredible job, as I said, of narrating. So yeah, Phoebe, what are you reading at the moment?
So I'm actually reading something a little bit different, and it's a bit more of a passion read for me. It's Shamiso by Chikwava. It's a really interesting premise for this book. So it is set in Zimbabwe. It's set in Harare in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it follows one girl who essentially her parents are involved with the rise of Robert Mugabe. And then it goes through the different phases of then him rising to power, and then her father, who was one way politically leaning, and then he kind of gets pulled up in that updraft that happens when there is a significant change in leadership. And then she kind of becomes tangentially involved in the propaganda of the place. And so when she then goes and visits Brighton to then study and do university and all of those things, that then really changes her worldview. So it's a really interesting kind of voice that's coming through because it's a little bit unreliable narrator, but also really, really impactful in the way that it is written. So it's quite a slim read. It's a novella, but I am really enjoying it at the minute. I think I'm about 80% of the way through. I'm really, really excited. I think it's going to be a 4-star read somewhere there. But yeah, probably one of the most interesting books I've read this year. And I think it's...
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think as well, because when I was a kid in Australia, we had such a high rate of immigration from Zimbabwe. And when you are a child at that age, you don't really know why.
Yeah. So I guess that gives some political or historic context.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's something that not enough people know about.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. I think it's something that more people should read, that style of writing.
Yeah.
Especially if you enjoyed Glory, which came out and is a Animal Farm style story of Robert Mugabe's rise to political power. Really, really interesting.
It sounds like one of those books that is a great example of how you can learn so much from fiction, because obviously they make sure that these books are accurate to the historic events that they are discussing. And so, when people say you don't learn anything from fiction, it is so not true. And that sounds like a perfect example of it.
Definitely. And it's been very, very interesting. So the way that we're going to do this episode is we have got a pot full of different questions about special editions and what we think about it. And it's a little bit like an honesty box type system. So we're going to pull out a question and have a bit of a discussion and see how many we get through in today's episode.
Yep. So I think let's get into it.
Jess, you've got to be brave on this one.
Go on. I'll pull the first one out. Okay, this is a really good one to start for. what are you looking for in a special edition? So if you're purchasing one, what features do you like to see? What makes something a special edition for you?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because special editions, even over the course of when we have been a part of Book Talk, have changed so
Yes.
much. And it is quite hard to say what you would like in a special edition. I think almost my criteria that I look for with a special edition, especially now that I've been a part of the space for a couple of years, is I want a really unique style from the author to pop through. Like it should have the personality of either the book or the author who is connected to it. So I think a really good example of this is B. Fitzgerald's books. So she has a very clear artistic style that has been incorporated from her cover designers and everything else. And yes, sprayed edge, but the real genius, and I think that's the thing I really like with special editions, the naked hardback.
Oh, I love a good naked hardback.
Oh, a like supreme naked hardback design. I'm sold.
Absolutely. Because I don't know about you, but I don't read my books with a dust jacket on. I do take them off.
Oh,
to read.
yeah.
I don't know how people read them on.
If it's a hardback book, it's going to be naked while I'm reading it. Sorry. Innuendo Central. Did not mean that at all. Whoops. But yeah, I will not read it with the dust jacket on.
No, I feel like it would get in the way. I'd probably end up maybe ripping it slightly, crumpling it on the very edges of it. So I will always take them off straight away, which means that I'm looking at the naked hardcover for a long time while you're reading it. And, it's sat on my bedside table in between, reading sessions. And it's so nice when you've got the pretty naked hardcover to admire. Yeah, I really like a good naked hardcover. I like when it has foiling on it as well.
Yes.
That just makes it feel extra special. A sprayed edge.
Yeah, a true sprayed edge, shall we say.
I don't like when it's just a block colour. That's not a sprayed edge to me.
No.
Yeah, especially these days where there are so many special editions, which I think is something we will touch on in some other questions. But
100%.
I like a designed sprayed edge.
Yes. Or even if it just has something clearly related to the book.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for me of like with B. Fitzgerald, she has almost a tagline for the book.
Yes, I've seen them. And they look like kind of like the Greek old fashioned pots.
Yes.
Which I think is what they're meant to look like.
Yeah, they've definitely got that amphora. They've definitely got like the amphora style kind of going down them. So it's very clear. It's very marketable.
And you know what I don't want to see? An ombre sprayed edge.
Preach. Honestly. I don't want to see an ombre spread edge. The other thing that is coming through now, which it's like a visceral reaction for me when I've seen it, is the 3D spread edges.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's the new thing that's coming through. I love that I'm ahead of the book gossip for you for once, because I'm never ahead of the book gossip. But there is a Jennifer L. Armentrout book series that is getting a special edition, and the character art is on like this sprayed edge. And it's a 3D spread edge. So it means all the pages are not uniform. And that
would be really uncomfortable to read, like annoying. Because how turning the page would feel like an inconvenience.
Oh, 100%.
No, I don't like that.
No. So yeah, I'm with you though. Ombre spread edges.
And the ones in particular that are really bad, some of the Emily Henry ones, I think it was Funny Story that had an orange to blue sprayed edge. And orange and blue mixed together is like murky brown.
Yeah.
Which meant in the middle of them, it was just this ugly brown colour. And like, why? Who thought those colours would go together nicely? I can accept like a pink to purple sprayed edge or something, or like, it's not necessarily what I'm looking for in a special edition, but like they're pretty, they're complementary colours.
Yes.
Whoever did the blue to orange, and it's like dark blue to bright orange.
Ooh, we're going bold.
It did not look good in person. And also the renditions online, like on the website, made it look better than it did, I think, in person.
You also have very much the thing of when a sprayed edge is portrayed one way online, and then as soon as it's in your hands, it is not as saturated, it is not as clean, it is not as styled.
It annoys me so much because that is what happened with Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I got the special edition, which had the moon, the earth. I can't even tell what it's meant to be on it. I think it was meant to be the earth, I realised later when I looked at the image online, but it is a blue blob in person.
It is a blue blob. Can testify it is a blue blob.
It is one of the only sprayed edge books that I actually store spine out. I don't even store sprayed edge out because it's ugly. And that is the sign that the sprayed edge was not up to par. Usually I'm looking for nice, detailed sprayed edge that conveys something to do with the story. I like a redesigned cover. It makes it feel extra special. If it's just like a new colorway, I don't think that's as special. And yeah, naked hardcover to be beautiful, whether that's a printed image on it that's beautiful or foiled, or ideally both together.
Even better.
Right, Phoebe, pick number 2.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. So what makes a book special enough to get a special edition?
Oh, there's two different ways you can look at this in terms of what realistically we see getting special editions. So we see a lot of things that are debuts or new releases that no one's ever read getting special editions in things like book boxes.
Yes.
And then the other side of things, you get either really popular authors that have a good track record or anniversary editions of books become special editions.
Yes.
And those are two very different things. And for me, I think the more proven author anniversary edition book, they are almost special enough for a special edition.
Oh, 100%.
And I think with a lot of the new release books that no one's ever read before, you don't really know if they're good enough for a special edition because that is, at that point, it's publishing marketing.
Yes.
They're the ones that have made that decision and decided it's special enough. And like, obviously, sometimes they get it right and it's real good, but not always. And I almost kind of prefer when it's reader led, which I think,
oh, definitely,
if it is proven best-selling author or an anniversary edition, which means it's sold enough to be, you know, to get a 10-year anniversary edition, I prefer that. And I think it's proven itself, even if it is a new release, but it's from a proven author, rather than the books where no one actually knows if it's going to be good. Or maybe, you know, it might not be the author's debut, but they just might not be very well known. And I do think there's great opportunities that come from that. And I think authors can get a lot of visibility and it can launch an author's career if they get in a book box, for example. But I just think it's more risky. You're then just, it's what the publishers decides we should be reading.
100%. And I think there is kind of then that avenue to possibly abuse the power that the publishers have to push certain authors.
Yeah. And I mean, the publishing industry obviously has a big issue with lack of diversity, which I know they're trying to tackle, and I think it's getting better. But we often don't see these opportunities going to authors from diverse backgrounds, which is why it is nice when you see it in a book box, you know, an author from a diverse background, a diverse story as well. But more often than not, it doesn't tend to be authors from those backgrounds.
No.
And I think it can potentially further perpetuate the inequalities within publishing. So I think you have to be careful with that as well. But I mean, there's no perfect way to do it.
No, there isn't a perfect way to do it, especially when it is that kind of tailored subscription box setting of it. So I do think that is quite hard. I think as well, the thing you were saying about anniversary editions, completely agree. I do think it has to be an anniversary edition that actually brings back either something from the original publication or some of the nostalgia of that piece. Like, I think the most recent ACTA re-release of the black
those
covers.
All black, right? And black sprayed edges?
Black sprayed edges, black cover over the original cover. I don't really see what
that's not special.
Bringing. That's not special.
That just feels like a money grab. You know, and the community, I saw there was a lot of backlash from it. A lot of people saying it did feel like a money grab. And, you know, we're not in the market to buy those books anyway, personally. But I can fully appreciate that had I have been a fan of those works, that was disappointing.
Oh, 100%, especially when it was so amped up for this anniversary release of the books, and then that's what you receive. I think that would be almost heartbreaking for that community.
Yeah, and they were expensive as well, I think. I think they were like over £100.
Yeah, I don't think it was the most affordable option for those books either, which is even more disappointing.
Yeah, so the publishers really have to do a good job with them. Which often they do. There's some beautiful ones out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, question number 3. What are your thoughts on one book having multiple special editions?
Oh, goodness. It's the case of the book shrines, isn't it? Of one book having 8 different special editions, and people feel like they have to collect every single one of the special editions. I do think it's over-consumerism at its finest.
If you're buying all of them, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the thing that really annoys me is when they have the special editions and the story isn't the same in all of the special editions.
Yes, when they have bonus chapters.
That gets on my nerves.
I see that a lot in the US. I don't see it as much here.
No.
But particularly in the US, it seems to be, you know, if you buy the Target version, you get an extra chapter from this character's point of view. If you buy the Walmart version, you get this extra chapter. If you buy the Barnes & Noble version, you get interior artwork. And interior artwork, I don't mind as much, but like, you should not be getting different content from a writing perspective. I don't like that at all. The only time I think it's okay is when the author puts those chapters on their website for free.
Yes, there are a couple who do that as well.
I believe Rebecca Yaros might do that, or it's someone like that, where, you know, they say you don't need to buy the new edition, especially when you already have it. You already have the standard paperback or whatever. You don't need to buy it to get this content. It's for free on the website. And that I appreciate. And I think if for some reason you're going to be doing different content in different special editions, it has to be available for free for your readers who have already bought that. Because otherwise I do think it encourages, as you said, overconsumption. And then my big issue is when they announce a book, they announce a special edition, so you go and pre-order it or you buy it, and then they announce a new special edition. and a new one.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to have 8 special editions for a new release book, you need to announce all of those at once, and then we can make our decision on which one we want to buy, that we like the artwork the most, this, that, the other. But the problem is when you don't, and someone will pre-order or buy, and then I also hate it when they have a new release book and then 2 months later they'll announce a special edition. And I appreciate that maybe that wasn't in the works originally, but it encourages people to buy a second edition of the book they've already got.
And I think as well, we're almost getting into a trend where that's more of the expectation than anything else, that you will get something that immediately after you get it, there will be that special edition to come out. But yeah, I don't think there's much need for it.
No, either announce it before it's released, because, you know, if you've got a pre-order, you can always cancel and get the other one. I do think Waterstones is very good, for example, at announcing them before they're released. Or do it like 2-3 years later.
Yeah.
Like I saw with the Elsie Silver Gold Rush Ranch series, they re-released them in the UK and probably elsewhere in the world as well in, I think it was October of 2024. And then in February of 2025, they announced a special edition box set. It had not even been 6 months. It had been 4 months since they'd re-released them with all new covers, and they had already announced a special edition. And I just think, like, surely you knew. Surely you knew beforehand. And you're hoping people have bought them and then they'll now rebuy them with these new cute covers. And like, I don't like that. I like consumers to be able to know all the facts and make their decisions.
Yes. And that is the thing, isn't it? Of like, reading is an expensive hobby.
It is.
And
well, it can be. Book buying and owning your own books is an expensive
hobby. And so then I think it makes people nervous. It makes people feel like they're out of the loop if they don't have certain special editions of things. And really, that's not how we should be playing it.
And if people have, you know, saved up or they've set aside money specifically to buy a book, and then 2 months later a special edition is announced, especially when they're often around the same price, which is good. I'm glad they're around the same price.
Yeah.
They feel like they can't spend the money on that second edition, and now they're feeling like they're missing out.
Yes.
When if it had been announced at the same time, they could have chosen which one they wanted. And people are not feeling like they're missing out.
Exactly. 100%. The fourth question?
Your fourth question? Okay. Your turn to pull.
Paperback sprayed edges, yes or no?
A contentious topic.
A very contentious topic. It's scary how contentious it is for what it is.
Yeah, I am maybe going to be controversial and say yes, but don't give me a plain coloured sprayed edge. I don't care about that. If you give me a plain coloured sprayed edge, I will just be displaying its spine out. But I don't mind, and I quite like, when they have pretty designed sprayed edges on paperbacks. So I have the Waterstones exclusive edition of Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is paperback, but it has a beautiful ombre, despite what I said. It has ombre pink to purple with clouds over it. It is really cute. I love that. But then I also have, I think it's Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope, which has a bright pink sprayed edge. It's a pretty colour, but I don't care. And to me, that doesn't count as a special edition. Yeah. Which again, these books are sold at the same price as the normal paperbacks. So
yes. So you're not getting price gouged.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter that much. And I don't really have strong opinions either way because they are the same price. However, I think it's like, go girl, give me nothing.
Yeah.
When it's like just one colour sprayed edge, give me a design. And I think the Works does a good job of that. They do a lot of designs.
They do a lot of designs. A lot of BK Borison's books from the Works have special designs on the sprayed edges.
Cute as well.
They're very cute.
The First Time Caller, that was such a beautiful sprayed edge.
And I think that's the thing for me. Do I care about a paperback sprayed edge? No.
Yeah, not really.
Like, it's not going to be the be all and end all. It's not going to be the difference between whether or not I buy that book or not. But do I see the hype when everyone's like, oh my God, it's paperback sprayed edge? No, I don't, because I'm less likely to put paperbacks sprayed edge out anyway because it doesn't fit with the continuity of the shelf.
Yeah.
So it's not the make or break for me. The only ones I will say are an exception to that are when they are done by specialist companies.
Or even individuals I've seen doing them online where they will like do one-off versions or even painting the edges.
Yes.
The people who paint special edition versions of paperback books and like you can buy them as one-offs on Etsy, oh my God, I dream of being as talented as those
100%.
people. Some of the most beautiful bits of artwork on the edge of a book that I've ever seen.
Even better when I've seen a couple be done where they pull all the pages one way, paint one image, and then pull it the other way and paint a different. I'm like, I don't.
How can your mind even like?
You're Einstein at that point. Like you are absolutely amazing. I don't know how they do it, but those 100% I'm in on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Those are beautiful. So I think the answer to the question is yes, but
yes,
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a yes,
Basically.
but maybe situation.
It would never make me buy a book having
No.
a paperback sprayed edge, but if I was going to buy it anyway, it would potentially make me choose a different retailer. So,
Yeah.
like for example, with Daydream by Hannah Grace, it was $9.99 in Waterstones, or it was £6 at the Works, and I liked the sprayed edge at Waterstones, so I did spend the extra £3 and get it from Waterstones. So in that case, yes, but if it's a plain colour sprayed edge, whatever retailer, I wouldn't care. If I was there, I'd buy it. If it was at a different place, I'd be like, oh, well. I wouldn't buy a book because it's got a paperback sprayed edge.
Oh, definitely.
I wouldn't buy any book because it's got a sprayed edge, but I'd be more inclined if it's a full special edition hardback with other special features.
Definitely. Do you want to go on to the next question?
Go on, I'll pull one out. We touched on this a little bit, but do special edition shrines glorify overconsumption? So I think we're talking about here, I think there's two elements. One where someone has many copies of the same book, but also when someone has a full shelf full of sprayed edges facing outwards, where it's, a whole shelf of sprayed edges.
And I think we are both people who have done this to differing degrees in our own personal libraries. So, we can't say we're completely above it.
Oh, no.
Do I own multiple Olivia Blake books? Yes. Are some of them because they are special editions? Yes. But I've also fallen into that trap of I bought the original and then something came out and I was like, I have to have it. Which it turned into a Gollum, my precious moment.
Yeah.
But I think some people go really extreme.
Yeah.
And when it is a case where someone goes, well, I need to have literally every single edition of that book that is printed. And when I go overseas, I will buy it in different languages around the world. That is next level. Yeah.
And I think if they're kind of one-offs where, it's your favorite book ever, it's coming out with a special edition. I recently bought the Love Hypothesis special edition.
Yes,
and
which is beautiful.
It is beautiful. I love it. And I think that might be the first book ever that I already own the physical copy of, and I bought the special edition. And if they're one-offs, people just have, maybe their favorite 5 books or something, or, I think that's not overconsumption.
No.
And I think if people are reading all their books, it's never overconsumption.
Good
However,
point.
if you do see some people online sometimes who have full hundreds of books, special edition, all the sprayed edges out, and they've read maybe 5 to 10 of them, and it's if you've got a point where 80 to 90% of those books you've not read them and you have special editions for them all, I do think that leans towards overconsumption.
Yes.
But I think it's with all of these things, it's always on the extremes, and the average person is not over-consuming special editions.
No, and I think as well the average person has got that self-awareness to know where the line is.
Yeah. But I do think when we see, these full bookcases full of special editions on social media, that does in some way glorify overconsumption. But I don't think that all of those bookcases are overconsumption. Because as I said, if you're reading them all, that's not overconsumption. You are merely consuming them.
Yes.
But I think the normalization of having huge bookcases full of beautiful special editions can make people feel the need to catch up.
Yes.
But I think that is maybe an individual issue for people. I don't think that is a widespread community issue. I think it's an issue within the community. I don't think it's a community issue that everyone has.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And people can do what they want with their money. We're not saying people shouldn't do it. No. You do what you want. So I think as with a lot of these things, it's a nuanced discussion. I think there's no right answer, but I think maybe it's a discussion we should be having more often within the bookish community. But I think a lot of people jump to get defensive.
Yes.
And I can see why. Maybe people feel like they're being attacked, which I don't think is the case. And as I said, I don't think it's at an individual level. I don't think it's an issue most of the time. I just think there's individual cases where it can be an issue.
And I think it's part of also fan service culture, isn't it? A lot of these really prominent authors have almost this fan service around them, which is much like a One Direction fan service or a Taylor Swift fan service. And it almost materializes in those multiple copies of special editions.
Yeah.
Which, something to keep in mind.
So Phoebe, you're going to pull out the final question that we have prepared.
The final question.
I can't remember what this is.
No. We did write all
We
these
did
questions.
write these questions, but I don't even remember what it's going to be.
Look, we've kind of touched on this one already, but how do you think special editions have changed because of the rise of book boxes?
Good question. I say there's a question we wrote. I think they've changed a lot. I think the way we consume special editions has changed so much. I think they've gone from this thing where you love a book, you want a special edition of it to celebrate how much you love it and it's a favorite, to now you're getting a book you've never heard of, you've never read, hoping maybe you'll like it, and you've already got a special edition of it.
Definitely.
And I say that as someone who has a special edition book subscription. I have one.
Yes.
I have the Illumicrate Starbright quarterly sci-fi book subscription, which I'm trialing out this year. It is new. It's only just started. So I've received 3 books so far. and I'm trialing out after a year. I'll see how I feel. But I'm saying that as someone, who has a subscription. Pot calling the kettle black. I'm not judging people for this at all. I do, however, think it has changed because it is slightly odd when you think about it that we are getting special editions that are expensive and resource intensive compared to a regular book that we might not even like. And you're paying a lot of money for.
Yeah.
These special editions are more expensive than getting the paperback, the hardback, and you don't even know if you'll like it. And so I think it can be fun. It can be a great way to be introduced to new authors. And you get these beautiful editions. But it's changed the dynamic of special editions, I feel like. And I feel like I don't know if we're seeing less of the classic author special editions as in like, the anniversary editions, but it feels like in the market of what we have, such a drop in the ocean is anniversary editions, books that have been out for a while.
By comparison,
Yeah, like I wish we saw more books that are older ones that are coming back and getting special editions because they're still loved. And we've just seen I think the Poppy War just got a new special edition set from Illumicrate.
Yes.
And that is beautiful. And I love that we're seeing series like that get them. And so they definitely do exist.
Oh, definitely. That's a very different and I think really worthwhile use of special editions comparative to everything getting a special edition. I also think it's hard to mention the book boxes because I know most people get the book boxes with the book, but there is also the gift almost element of a lot of those book boxes
the additional
as well.
items.
Yes. And I feel like I have seen recently several really big bookish creators almost decluttering Marie Kondo style, getting rid of some of those things because they're very much filler and they're very resource intensive. And also,
they take space in your house.
Yeah, I do not have enough space for all of those cups.
I saw an Illumicrate unboxing yesterday and they got a cushion cover for, I think it was Silver Cloak by L.K. Stevens. I'm sorry, who wants a cushion cover with two characters like kissing or about to kiss on it with like flames or something like that? It was literally that style.
Yeah.
And like, it's the Illumicrate adult box.
Yes.
It's not a YA box or even a children box. But like, I don't know about you, but in my big adult grown house, I am not going to have a cushion cover with characters on.
No, and then like invite your mother-in-law in.
Yeah, especially for a book that I didn't choose. And I might not have read because in those boxes you are getting items that are not related to the book in the box.
Well, yeah, not necessarily related. There might be one or two things for that book, but then it will be related to either other popular books or other books that they have done in previous months, which...
You might not have been subscribed at that time. So maybe you've never read that book, maybe you didn't get the special edition, but now you've got a teapot cozy. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a teapot cozy, and I do think they give some practical items. I've seen like book sleeves and stuff, which look pretty useful, or like the hardback covers, fabric ones. I don't think you can go wrong with a tea towel, to be honest. I'll use a tea towel with whatever pattern on it.
You're really showing your Englishness.
Right there, aren't you?
Teapot and a teapot and a tea towel.
But I think a lot of the items that you're getting are kind of useless. And like, I don't think you could be subscribed to the full boxes for more than 1 year without getting a lot of repetitions. And like, sure, it'll be designed after a different book, but how many trinket dishes do you need?
Yeah.
How many tea containers do you need? I don't need any tea containers. My Yorkshire tea comes in a box. But like, like you really showing I'm British here.
Yeah, you're really showing it.
Maybe I just need a cup of tea. But anyway, I think a lot of the items are novelty trinkets that are just going to clutter your space. And if you're on the box for more than 1 year, I think you're going to end up with lots of the same item with slightly different designs, all of which when you move house inevitably and have to pack your boxes, you think this isn't worth me moving house.
Yes.
So while it's not the books themselves, I do think, as you said, that is related and something to keep in mind. But I don't think most people do get the full boxes.
No.
Most people do seem to get just the books.
Yeah.
But like everything we're saying about these book boxes, not going to lie, I still get FOMO sometimes.
Yeah. The Ava Reid, A Theory of Drowning ones were really spectacular.
But a lot of the Fairy Loot ones in particular, I saw the Night and the Moth, which I've actually not read. I mean, you've read it, actually. I love that book.
Yeah.
That special edition was one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. And I do get FOMO, and it's books that I'm excited about and I want to read. I'm not saying I would never get a monthly special edition. I do feel like monthlies often. Like, it's depending on how many books you read, obviously. I mean, like, if you're reading tons a month, you probably can read one Fairy Loot book every month.
Yes.
Whereas for me, I read between 5 and 8 books a month, depending on how good of a month is. This month is 2. So, I think I don't read as many books. And even with the Illumicrate, like the Starbright one, I have received 3 books now since May. I think was the first one. I've not read any of them. I've read half of one.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing 1 year and I'm going to see, is it worth it? And if I'm not reading them, not worth it. And I do see a lot of people who say, I've actually only read one of my 12 Fairy Loot books this year. But then others are reading them every single month.
Yes.
So that's an individual thing that I think not everyone considers, but everyone needs to consider.
And I think there's also an argument to be made of, well, when you don't like the book, if it's not your thing, do you resell?
I mean, it's yours to resell. But I do think there's an issue with scalpers. As in people
definitely
buying them for 25 quid and selling them for £180. I saw someone selling something for the other day.
Oh, some of them are ridiculous. And that is, I think it's part of the reason why special editions get a bad rap.
Yeah. And people get angry about it as well. And like, I get it. Like, especially if it's a book you missed out on, you really want to rebuy it. You know, someone paid £25 for it and yet you can't buy it because someone is, you know, it's half the price of your rent or a quarter of the price of your rent. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some that go for $300-400.
Literally.
And I personally, I can't afford to do that.
No.
But I think it's also really quite
a bit unethical.
Yeah.
Or immoral, maybe.
Nah, unethical. Like,
but the problem is I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, you know, why doesn't Fairy Loot or Illumicrate catch these people and remove them from the list? And I hate to say it, but why would they? Because legally they're doing nothing wrong. It is their book. They have paid for it. They have bought it. They are allowed to do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
And so it's annoying. It's frustrating. I don't think it's right, but they are fully entitled to do that as much as we hate it. Why would Fairy Loot or Illumicrate not remove them? Why would they? These high resale values drums up hype. It makes people sign up to the wait list.
Yes,
it makes them excited about Illumicrate books. It means that, and Fairy Loot books, it means we're all talking about them. Why would they?
Oh, definitely. Like, the waiting lists for those book boxes are prolific.
Oh, yeah. I think someone said recently they got to the front of the Fairy Loot waiting list and they'd waited for 15 to 18 months.
Whoa. Okay.
Insane.
Yeah.
15 to 18 months for the privilege of spending £25 a month.
Yes.
And like these book boxes, they are doing so well. They are raking it in. And I don't know what the profit margins are like. I have no idea. Who knows? But they're doing well.
Yeah.
And hopefully that means, though, that they can get great books, great picks. I think Fairy Loot's choices this year seem to be top tier. So, you know, and I think that that's good for consumers. Again, nuanced. Everything's nuanced.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
I also think as well, for me, the most special editions are ones that people have personalized for me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Like annotated for you.
Yeah, annotated for me, or like we mentioned the people who do the painting on sprayed edges.
Beautiful.
And there's heaps of DIY courses that you can do with sprayed edges and everything like that. I don't know. I think if someone went to the trouble of doing that for me, do I care that it's a paperback? Probably not. Do I care if it's a hardback? Probably not.
It's the thought.
It's the thought and it's the time that goes into that. And I think that's something worth raising. And even like I know BBC Bookworm have done a series where they are essentially reinventing celebrities and bookish personalities' favorite books into their own personalized special edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that in itself, I think, is just nostalgia personified. I watched one of them and this celebrity's favorite book was The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. And they went into so much nuance about what the feeling of opening the book was like. So they even designed a case for that book to go into that manipulated the same feelings for the reader and things like that. I just think people are so clever. And at the end of the day, would I prefer something like that? Even if it's done by me, the artistic integrity of it is going to be absolute garbage. But I would prefer someone do that for me and have that kind of almost relationship with the creator.
It becomes nostalgic instantly.
Yes.
And that's the thing, like special editions means more than just, you know, the Waterstones exclusive edition that you see.
Definitely.
And I think they can be lovely and they can be such an exciting thing. Like, you know, I said I got The Love Hypothesis. I was so excited. That book was one of the first romance books that I read as an adult, or really ever. I didn't read romance growing up. So that was one of the first romances I read as an adult. It really helped introduce me to the genre and make me fall in love with it. It introduced me to a new author. It was so special. And I have such fond memories of reading it. And so buying that special edition, I felt like giddy opening it.
Yeah.
You know, because it just meant so much to me. And, you know, that's what I think it's meant to be. And that is what I think you lose a little bit with the book boxes because you're not selecting. But it's also nice to have someone select it for you as well, I guess. So
this is really like the last question of this episode, I think, which is if we could have any book done as a special edition, which book would we like to have done and what kind of elements?
For me, it's The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. That is a YA fantasy romantasy. I'm not sure where it would fall. It has a romance subplot I don't know if it would be considered a romantasy, but it is one of the most beautiful stories I have ever read. And I've mentioned it before on this podcast, but that is a severely underrated book. And I talk about it all the time
Yes,
online.
you have.
More people need to read it. It is beautiful. And it is inspired by, I believe, Korean folktales. And it's so whimsical and magical and atmospheric, and the imagery in it. You could make the most beautiful special edition with that book. And I would absolutely take my money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one. Although I have to also throw in the very loot edition of The Crimson Moth. That is one that I look for regularly online, and it is never a price I can justify.
Yeah.
But I would love that one as well. What's yours, Phoebe?
That special edition was gorgeous. Look, it is also a book I've mentioned on this podcast before.
That just shows that we love the books we talk about.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it is a book that I'm like, because I originally had this book and then I lost this book, and now I can't quite justify buying this book again unless it was a special edition. Like, I'm always looking for one.
Yeah.
Do they ever do them? No, never. But I would love a special edition. And I mean, BBC Bookworm, if you need a project, I'm here.
She's a celebrity.
Yeah, I'm here. But I would love a special edition of Le Petit Prince. There's as well, in the original book, there were so many illustrations in there as well.
Right.
So I think if they incorporated those illustrations into either a cover or just a naked hardback or something, I honestly wouldn't need much for that book.
Yeah.
I would just need that classic blue, red, and yellow kind of color scheme that it has in there. And I just need a couple of squiggles on a piece of paper and I'd be grand.
Easy to please.
Yeah, very easy to please. It is so beautiful. And if someone wanted to do something more than that, 100% take my money. But that would be something that I think would be so nostalgic.
And so that's everything I think we have to discuss today. I think we went through a lot of different topics all relating to special editions. Yeah, some interesting perspectives.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it is your money.
Yeah.
Do with it what you will. But
if you don't agree with our takes, that's fine.
That's fine. We are not perfect humans. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, be mindful, especially with things like scalpers.
Yeah. Try and be a good person.
Yeah,
and
be mindful.
Put The Crimson Moth too expensive, please. I would really like to buy it.
Yeah. Jess will be in your DM so quick.
I'll pay 50, 60 quid, but I could not justify
50, 60 quid?
I'd do it. If I saw one for 50, 60 quid, I would absolutely be buying it. Every single one I've seen, I saw one for £95. I considered it. It had rips on the dust jacket. I was like, I'm not considering it for that. But the fact that someone is charging £95 for a book that has rips on the dust jacket, most of them that were in pristine condition were £120 to £180. And I'm not considering that. So if someone says, I'll charge you 50 quid, take it, please.
Oh my God.
And on that note, I think we are done.
And that's all from us. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode.
We upload every Wednesday, so please subscribe and follow along. You can find us on all the usual social medias, so we're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and this podcast can be found on all of your favourite podcast platforms.
If you want to catch up with us on any of our personals, you can catch up with Jessica on jessicareads.books. And if you want to catch up with me, you can catch me on Get This Girl a Book on Instagram or TikTok.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.